Hiya, my name's Andy Mitchell from HomeGlow. So today's demonstration is going to be on how to bleed a radiator correctly. To be fair, it is an easy job, but there is a few things you need to know first before you undertake this task. One is what type of heating system you have. So it could be a combination boiler you have, it could be a stored up water system you have. Easiest rule of thumb to know what type of system you have: if you've just got a boiler on the wall and you know for a fact there's no stored up water anywhere else within inside the property, the likelihood is that's going to be a combination boiler. If you've got, for example, another situation, you've got a boiler on wall and you've got stored up water, for example, in an airing cupboard, in a bathroom, then that would be, and obviously you've got tanks inside the loft, then you wouldn't need to know anything else. That type of system, you can just bleed your radiator and know it will be fine. A combination boiler, however, or a sealed system, or a sealed system would be different. So as soon as you start taking pressure out of the radiator, you will be losing pressure within that heating system. And on a combination boiler, it does have something called a low pressure switch. So that would, if you took too much pressure out, you would find that you bleed your radiator, you come to use your central heating again, and it doesn't work, and that will because the boiler has gone to like a fail-safe of low pressure. So we'll do another clip of a combination boiler and what you would need to do before you undertake this task. So I would recommend that you do know your system before you do anything else. Another tip to mention before you do bleed any radiator on any system is to make sure that the heating system has been turned off. So if you've got a room thermostat or a time clock, make sure those are turned to off. Another tip is just to go up to the boiler and make sure you can't hear no movement whatsoever. So even though it's got nothing to do with heating, on a combi boiler, don't use any taps or anything like that, because that will engage the pump in the boiler. So that's another thing to do, is you should never ever bleed a radiator when the heating is on, as it can have sometimes a negative effect and drag air back into the heating system. So just make sure the heating's off and you can hear no movement at all within the boiler. And that's it for that tip. So if you have got a combination boiler, before you bleed your radiator, I would go and take a reading of where the pressure gauge needle is at the moment. This is an ideal logic boiler, so the pressure gauge is in a really awkward place. It's on the bottom left, on the underside of the boiler. I would always consult your manufacturer instructions so you know how to top up the boiler. If you're like me and you filed your instructions under bin, all you do is Google the make and model of the boiler. So it's an ideal boiler and the model is a Logic Combi 30. As soon as you put that in Google, you'll definitely can guarantee you'll find a PDF online that'll tell you how to do that. So the pressure gauge on this boiler, I'll try and let you see it. It is there. So it's awkward to see. So you roughly want your pressure gauge when everything is completely cold, so no heat inside the pipes whatsoever, probably around 1.5 bar. So if you didn't do none of this and you bled your radiator before you got to this bit and then you find you've got no central heating, go to your display or your boiler have a fault code, and the likelihood is it'll be coming up, the error code will be low pressure. So that's how you'll know you need to put pressure back in the boiler. Right then, so this is a demonstration how to bleed your radiator. It is quite an easy job to do, but first of all you need to find out where the bleed is on the radiator valve. So it'd look, if you've got a more modern type radiator with grills on, you'll have something that'll look like that with a plastic collar on, and then the bleed nipple will be in the centre. You might have a different type of radiator where you haven't got a grill, and then if you haven't got a grill on it, you might find the bleed on the left or the right. Just have a look where you can see like something you can turn. That will be the bleed. Sometimes they are on the back of the radiator as well. That's just something to mention if you can't find them on either side of the radiator, and that's more like classed as a roll top radiator, and that's where you would find those. So what I would do with this particular type of bleed as well, you've got like a silver collar that you can see that screws into the side of the radiator. Now what I found with some, they don't do it all the time, and most of the time will be fine. But when we do put the radiator key within inside the bleed nipple, you'll put it in, and then obviously you're going to turn it to the left. So we're turning it to back part on the valves on this side of the radiator. We're turning the key to the back to open up the valve. You can spin the whole thing. If you do start to see it spin, just stop, turn it back, and then you would just need to hold against the fitting whilst turning the key, and then it just stops you having a flood. Like I said, most of the time it will be fine. How you know that your radiator needs bleeding, as a general rule of thumb, if it's cold at the top when your heating's on but hot at the bottom, that would definitely indicate there's air within that radiator. If it's hot at the top and it's cold at the bottom, don't get confused, that will not be air. That will be sediment that's sunk to the bottom of the radiator. So this will only apply if you're feeling your radiator and it's cold, like 3/4 of the way up the radiator, or even the top section of the radiator is completely cold. That will definitely indicate air. So generally, if you've got that situation, you've got cold at the top, you start to twist the key on the radiator valve on the bleed, you will hear air. So as soon as you start to hear air coming out, get a rag underneath, because eventually that will be met with water. So this is what we'll do. We'll turn the key backwards. I mean, this one's full, but you will see water coming out. When you get to that stage, turn it back, just dry it a little bit, and to be fair, it's as easy as that to bleed your radiator. So that's it for today's demonstration.